And away we go. It is the BCJ podcast brought to you by the Holy Grail right here on BearcatJournal.com. Look, you know you're going to watch the Bearcats on Sunday. You know you're going to watch the Bengals on Sunday. So why not just go to the Holy Grail? If you're not going to the Bearcats game, if you are going to the game, go to the Holy Grail afterwards. Why not just go down to the Grail, watch the Bearcats, take care of Memphis, and then watch the Bengals advance to their second consecutive AFC championship game right after. It sounds like a heck of a plan to me. So support our good friends at the Holy Grail. Get down there Sunday, make a day of it, hang out, get you some food, have some nice frosty cold beverages, and enjoy what should hopefully be a good Sunday for the Bearcats. Hi, Dave.
Good evening.
How are you?
You know what? I'm all right.
That's good to hear.
I'm okay. I'm heading to Phoenix, Arizona tomorrow.
Wow.
For the weekend for work. So not really wow.
Yeah.
So,
but hi, Pickle.
I guess there's worse places to do work from, but it doesn't even seem like it's that warm there right now. So
it's got to be warmer than here, I would assume.
It's like in the 60s.
Well, it's going to be in the 20s tomorrow, so you're catching it at the right time. As you know, the past couple days have been really nice.
I guess
you're heading to Phoenix as we get a cold snap.
Yes.
Pickle, are you gonna miss your dad?
Of course.
Huh? The third member of this podcast.
That's right.
As always, getting her shine. I like that she has picked up now that, like, look, the show starts when he sits down and he gets ready to go. The show's about to start, and I need to be in place.
Yeah, she likes to be up here while I'm working or while we're doing this. So
it's good to have her. It's good to have you, Pickle. It's
Not
good to
too
have
bad.
you. All right, well, let's get into some Bearcats discussion, Dave. I suppose no better place to start than with the basketball team.
That's right.
I will say you are much more engaged with basketball this season, Dave.
They're on most nights. They're actually interesting to watch.
Look. How long has it been since we've seen a team be able to play offense like that in the first half? We talked about it last night, Dave. Look, they scored 4 points in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And they scored 43 points in 15 minutes.
Outside of the first couple minutes of the game, I would say, I'm not really, you could say like opponent adjusted or whatever, but like I'm just looking at this from a UC standpoint of progression and building on things that we've discussed. Like those things don't have a ton to do with, like, you can play a really good defensive team and still move the ball and have good spacing and be active, and maybe you don't win or your shots don't fall because you're playing a really good defensive team. But you can tell me I'm wrong. I think that's the best extended look at what we kind of hope this team can be that we've seen all year.
There have been other stretches. You had in the first 8 games, they had 9 halves where they scored 49 or more points. But I thought that was almost flawless. Like the tempo was good. The spacing was good. The ball movement was outstanding. I said this on Mo today. I can't remember the last time there was a 0 turnover, 11 assist, or a half, or anything like it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, we've had halves where they've scored well because they've shot well or whatever, but like just the aesthetics of it, and like I mentioned that, you're making a bunch of shots and that's great, but I was more pleased to just see the activity level especially in the first half, it felt like every 50-50 ball they were getting, like just super aggressive, super active. You had the stage in the second half where they got up 26, and I think at that point they kind of were like, okay, we're done playing defense. Let's just play offense.
Well, and they also had a lot of, that they didn't have the main rotation in. They had
right, but I mean, it was pretty clear that from that 66-40, that they were like, this one's over.
We're coasting to the finish line.
And kind of, traded baskets, so to speak, for a good part of the second half. But I mean, you take the first 5 minutes out, 15 minutes, and then they came right out in the second half and took an 18-point lead to a 26-point lead, which has always been a bugaboo of them against lesser competition of recent years, is like, when does the 20-point lead turn into the 10-point lead?
Right.
And they didn't. They went the opposite way. They moved it up to 26, and then it kind of went back down to, 16-15. But at that point in time, you're not coming back another 15 on top of the 11 or so that that team just did. So, I think obviously Dave had a great first half. Landers had a really nice floor game. I thought, what they got from Odie and Kalu kind of combined, I think it was 13-6 or 15-6, something like that.
9 and 6, so 15. Yeah.
Now all six of those rebounds were Odie's.
Yeah.
but still, I mean, if you're getting, and that might be an outlier, you might not get that many points from those two guys. But if you're getting 8 to 10 points, 5 rebounds from those two guys, coupled with your perimeter guys, like, I think everybody would be more than happy if that was kind of your nightly output from those two.
Yeah, for sure. And we talked about it a little bit on the nightcap last night, but look, man, you have to take your hat off to Kalu, because 90% of kids in college basketball, when they find themselves in a situation like him, where he was recruited to come in and be a critical piece and potentially a starter on this team. I mean, if you go back and look in the preseason, people predicting starting lineups, he was in like 75% of them.
Oh yeah.
It didn't work out right away. And he struggled and he didn't fit in real well, but he never pouted, never became a problem in the locker room, never saw that that 1 game suspension for what do they used to call it, Dave? Conduct unbecoming.
Detrimental to the team.
Yeah, like conduct unbecoming of a Bearcat, or detrimental to whatever. Like, he worked hard in practice.
For being a shithead.
Yeah, like that didn't happen with this dude. He was always the first one off the bench cheering. Like, he bought in, didn't pout, and now all of a sudden you got a big with fresh legs in mid-January. Like, that's invaluable.
And I think, we might have Aaron and I might have touched on this a little bit when the night you were out. And yes, you're not going to play guys if they're not earning it, or if when they do play, especially in practice, they're making mistakes or whatnot. But I think I had said, like, at this point, I think at that time I had said, I think you should just give him some minutes, and maybe he's the type of guy that, the motor turns on a little bit more when he knows that I'm going to get in. It might only be 5 minutes a game. It might be 10 minutes a game or whatever. But like,
the problem though, Dave, let's be honest. The problem was they tried that.
Oh, I know.
And when they put him in for 5 minutes, he would be like -8.
And it still might happen in another game. Like, that's
sure. But he doesn't look lost. He looked lost.
Right.
Early.
And so maybe he was just figuring some stuff out, and now he's going to be in that range. But, I think I would love to see him get some rebounds, considering that was what we thought he was going to, I think we both said he was our pick to lead the team in rebounding. And then, you play your most minutes probably of the season and you don't get a single rebound. So you'd like to see that improve. But I just think with Vic's propensity to foul, and his also what I'm noticing is propensity to have a comment or a facial expression for every foul, which that will draw the ire of every official, and you know that they know that it's coming.
Right.
Like, he's like an NBA player that's apparently never fouled anybody before. So
he does go pretty hard in the paint on the fact that he's never committed a foul in his life.
And it's gonna bite you. Like, you pick up a couple fouls, you do that. The next time you maybe have a marginal play that they're going to whistle you.
Right.
So he needs to watch that out big time. But Kalu, if he can give them not even necessarily what they gave him last night. Like, can you go in and can things be even while we give someone a break? Like, we're not asking you to come in and necessarily elevate and be a microwave man and score 4 points and grab 2 rebounds in one segment, but just like, don't be a drain. Like, just keep things even. And that's, they got plenty of weapons on the team from an offensive standpoint. They don't necessarily need him to do that.
Okay. Without Kelly home, she thinks she can just come in and talk all the time. Look, I don't think anybody's saying Kalu's going to be like a all-conference level big man or be what we expected him to be at the beginning of the season now. What we are saying is he is now showing the ability to go in and give you 3-minute, 4-minute stretches where he doesn't kill you.
Yeah.
And that's what he did at the beginning of the year. It was like it got to the point that you couldn't play him. You couldn't put him in because he wasn't able to produce anything on offense. He wasn't rebounding, and he was getting torched on defense.
Well, these next 2 games will tell us a lot because they can absolutely use him and, frankly, probably need him in these next 2 games against Memphis and Houston. And
it changes the dynamic, too, because now you're not forced to have your only 2 bigs essentially be Odie and Vic, with Odie playing the 4 and then being Vic's backup at the 5 at the same time. Now you can kind of mix and match that a little bit. Yeah, you can get Odie some run at the 5, but you can get Kalu in there for 6, 8, 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just spells here and there, and if a guy gets in foul trouble, he can help you out by just not being a minus.
Right. Like even is, like you said, even is all you really need from him when he gets in there.
Yep.
Like if he checks in and it's 21-20 and he checks out and it's 27-27, that's a win. That's absolutely a win. What else jumped out at you from this one, Dave?
I think
it's nice to see DeJulius get back on track with his shooting. That was
for sure
slumping for sure.
For sure. I guess one thing that was a positive, and one thing I'm not going to say negative, but just kind of was a little perplexing to me was Dan Skillings obviously keeps progressing. I just love his attack mentality. Like sometimes I don't even care. Like he tried to do the dream shake at one point last night and didn't even come close to hitting the rim from like 2 feet. And I don't even care. Like, he is ultra aggressive. He's trying to get to the rim every time. And I love it because I think that's, as a young player, how you build confidence. I think you lose confidence when you float and when you try to be a jump shooter. And if you're a young guy and you just tell yourself, like, when I get the ball, when I see a lane, I'm taking it. And I think that's what he's doing. And so the more minutes he gets, the more he becomes part of the other team's scouting report. And that idea that is what he's going to try to do becomes more prevalent with the opponent. And that's when you see him stick the corner 3 because they're playing off of him so much because they know all he wants to do is go to the basket. So if he can, refine that element of his game and continue to just attack, whether it's offensively, whether it's on the glass, like, he's going to keep earning minutes because his athletic ability and traits are probably the highest on the team. So, he's going to match up the best when they play a Houston, when they play a Memphis. So that's one thing. And then in the second half, I was kind of It's a little odd. I don't know why. Maybe you can answer as just to why Josh didn't get more minutes last night.
It was probably just a lineup thing where you probably wanted to, and it just never presented itself where you got
I
him
just
in.
figured especially in the second half, he's in that kind of
yeah.
He's in that kind of second team rotation, so to speak, and I don't think he played much at all. So I don't know if
I'm sure some of that is just, Landers and Dave were on the floor most of the minutes. And then, Dan is out there. I think it was probably, I would assume it was probably just a rotational.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's
you get lost in the game at some points where like your intention is to do something and then you do something else.
Well, they had that one. It felt like they had that one spell middle of the second half where it kind of just kept going back and forth, not a lot of stoppages. Then you get a stop, so then you get the full timeout, and then you just don't even think about like subbing because the guys that were out there got the break that they needed. And then when it got a little loose for a bit, he obviously wasn't going to go loose. He obviously wasn't going to go in when it was a little bit of a street ball type situation. So Wes was going to put the starters back in, calm some things down. But no, I mean it's super encouraging just because it's another road win in a place that it hasn't mattered who's on the team for either team. It's never pretty. Ugly. They never make shots. USF always drags them into the mud. So to just not have that type of game was very just enjoyable to watch as a fan. And then the performance was obviously, taking care of the ball. They really seemed, and we'll see next two games. They did a good job against Houston the first go around. I'm sure the Cougars are well aware of it. We'll see how they do on the glass. Okay. Did you win something?
Yeah.
What'd you win?
The staring contest.
Oh.
She turned away. She had
enough.
You
lost.
super fan. The cat wasn't mad. We were engaged in competition.
She's probably also mad. She's not necessarily a friendly one. But Houston is going to be like, hey, these guys kind of kicked your ass on the boards last game, comparatively speaking. So they've been.
They're not sneaking up on Houston.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. They've been better on the glass lately, but let's see it against Memphis and Houston. And this is such a I'm not saying it as like a make the tournament type stretch, but these next 7 games are pretty big because you've got a lot of winnable games and your road games, Houston notwithstanding, not the hardest places to play. So, can you beat Memphis at home? What happens against Houston? Then you're back for 2 very winnable home games with Tulsa and UCF.
Mm-hmm. Well, UCF's pretty good.
They are.
Should win at home, but UCF's pretty good.
No, they're pretty good, but it's a home game. You should be able to. You play well, you're going to win.
Right.
And then at Tulane, South Florida, and then at ECU. These are 7 games right now that you hope to keep building the momentum on. You go 5-2 in that stretch. 19-8. That's not. You kind of set yourself up to make a little run at the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you're pretty much at the end of the year at that point, right? What's there 3 games after that?
4 games after that in the conference tournament. So, I mean.
Yeah. Getting UCF at home is something you need to do. Getting Memphis at home is something you need to do. And Memphis right now is not. They were playing much better ball at the beginning of the year than they're playing right now. And I saw somebody say they're down starters tonight, but they're up 5 now on Wichita with 2 minutes left in the half. And Wichita has been up most of the half.
Where is that game at?
It's at Memphis. And as we saw, Wichita's not very good.
No.
Not very good. Wichita just hit a 3. Memphis up 2 late in the first half. Overall, though, Dave, I think we're at that point now. They were 14-6 last year. They had won a couple games in the conference, and people were feeling cautiously optimistic. And then they played Memphis in that game where Memphis jumped DeJulius. If you remember, They blitzed everything he did. And from there, it just set the tone. And the offense just was in shambles. If you watched USF last night, USF tried to do that to Dave.
Right.
They were blitzing ball screens. And what a blitz on a ball screen is it means the guy defending the big and the guy defending the guard just jump the ball handler, the guy coming off the screen. So you push him back. I thought Dave got in trouble with that the past couple prior games because he was trying to play downhill through it, right? And you're just playing into a crowd. You're not playing into a strength, you're playing into a weakness. And last night, man, he was pretty smooth. He backed it up a little bit, made the right pass. They did a great job. This is the best I remember the bigs rolling to the rim. I mean, how many pick and rolls did you see last night where the big man got the ball at the rim, like on the roll? Like that's almost non-existent.
Well, it seemed like USF didn't seem to be ready for it because they had several dunks off of it.
Right. So I'm seeing a team that is, as they grow, this offense is learning different ways to beat you. Like, does it help when they shoot the shit out of it? Sure. But they're not a one-trick pony in that regard where if they have a bad night, they just can't play offense.
Right, because we know that they're not just going to shoot like that all the time. It's the nature of
this is as good of, ups and downs are going to happen. You're going to have hot nights. You're going to have cold nights. But I feel as good about this team consistently spreading it around and shooting the three between Dave, between Landers, between Micah, JD when he's got it going.
Well, that's the good part about having multiple options.
Yeah. But, don't you feel a lot more confident? Like when you see it, there have been many years, Dave, where when you see a three go up, you're looking at the rebound. All right, who's in position?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And now you're seeing stretches, man. When that ball goes up, it's like, that's a clean look. That's good.
Even when they're not clean looks, some of them are going in right now.
Yeah, but I'm more. How many times have there been Bearcat teams that they can't make the open?
Oh, they're wide open. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
This team, I feel pretty good on the open ones. That's how you end up shooting a much higher percentage.
What do we?
I also wanted to look. USF had two guys that were playing as well as anybody in the conference. Their center, who I'm not going to mess with his name, and Tyler Harris, both came into this game hot, and both of them struggled big time. What they combined for 16, and they had been combined over 30 regularly. So not only was it a great offensive night, but I thought defensively it was really good scouting report defense, taking away the inside-outside threat of those two.
Yeah, you've got Micah's taken 74, Dave's taken 99, and Landers has taken 115 threes, and they're all shooting 38.5% or higher. It's like, when's the last time we've had three guys taking that many that have shot that high of a percentage?
Yeah. JD's back over 30, isn't he?
30.5.
Okay. Well, it felt like he was down at like 22 for a while.
He's also taken 128, which is 13 more than anybody else.
You think that's what makes people mad? They've got three guys above 38%, and the guy at 30 is the one that's firing at will.
He's taken 29 more threes than Dave and made one more.
That's
And he's taken 13 more threes than Landers and made 12 less.
so basically all the extra. He's 1 for 13 on the extra shots that he's taken over Landers. I don't know. I just there are a lot more like if this is what the Wes Miller era is going to look like. If this is our first starting to get a real glimpse of it, because last year was just we had to field got to field a team,
right?
And you didn't really get a full off season to work with them, and like now you're starting to see the fruits of that labor. Gives you a reason to get pretty excited about the long term of Bearcat basketball. But like you said, these next 7 are important. You can't go 3 and 4.
I mean, I don't even think you can go 4 and 3. Like I think 5 and 2 is kind of the bare minimum.
I mean, you can go 4 and 3 and it's not going to be received all that well, but it's not a disaster.
No, I'm not saying that it's a disaster, but if you just look at like who you're playing and where you're playing them, if you go 4 and 3, that means that you are losing to Houston and you're losing probably at Tulane, and then you're losing a home game to either Memphis or UCF, and then you're winning all the rest.
Right.
I don't think
you're doing you're doing the bare minimum of quote unquote what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean you're breaking even in a situation where you have 4 home games to 3 road games.
Right. What was your take on Vic bouncing the ball off old boy?
I didn't really see it. I saw him go to the ground, and I don't know if I looked somewhere else or what. But I kind of saw him arguing, and I was like, well, he got thrown to the ground. Why are they talking? And maybe I didn't really see the whole sequence clearly enough, and it felt like they didn't really show very many replays, if any. So
basically the guy, there was a tie up, and the guy got his arm under Vic's leg and like lifted his leg up and dumped him.
Yeah.
And then Vic bounced the ball off of him.
Well, it kind of goes back to what I said earlier. He's got a reaction to every thing that he feels is, an affront to him.
Yeah.
And you can't be that guy. Like, you can't be the guy that every foul you get called for, you throw your palms up or you make a face, or you say something to the ref, or you turn around real quick, showing your frustration. And you can't, no matter what you thought happened, like you can't just chuck the ball at somebody.
It's going to be a technical on you every time.
He's got a reaction to everything, and he's going to build a reputation as a guy that you can goad, and a guy that you can get under their skin, and a guy that will commit that foul, commit that foul when he's going for a rebound and he thinks he got fouled while he's going for the rebound, and the other guy has it, so he's going to go and try to steal it from him 80 feet from the basket, and then they're going to call a foul.
Right.
Like, he's that guy right now, and he's got to get out of those habits. He's too important. He's too good of a player. Like, you can't be picking up cheap fouls and building a reputation as someone that has a reaction and a response to everything.
Anything else you got from this one?
Pour one out for the Yingling Center.
Thank God.
Cross another one off the list.
The farewell tour continues.
Of places that we're glad to never have to go back to. Really rocking collegial atmosphere there last night.
Right. Crib Keeper says, Dave, are you jealous? Pickle might have a thing for my voice. Pickle can't hear me.
No, she cannot.
Dave has earphones in, so she cannot hear anything that I say.
What do you think? Yeah. Let's not step on the computer. But no, I mean, we're getting into that stretch where you kind of, you see what kind of team you have, the dog days of the season, the monotony of the, Wednesday or Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday. Now they do get that
I get a week off between Memphis and Houston,
which I'm not depending on how they play against Memphis. They come out and play well and win that game. I don't think that's a good thing to have a week off.
I don't either, because you're playing your best ball of the season
and you want to ride
in your rhythm
into the your best opponent. Like what happens more times than not? You're playing good ball. You have this break. You go on the road against a good team and you come out flat, and you're down, 12-4 at the 15-minute timeout, and you're just really never in the game.
Yeah, you're always clawing from behind. No, I'm with you on that. I would much rather keep this thing cruising, but I'm sure if you ask them, the guys are probably ready for a little bit of a break.
Sure. But again though, sometimes basketball is such a rhythm thing though. I'm sure Dave is like, I'm out of this slump. I don't want to break. Like I want to keep going.
Right.
Football is much more of the let's get some rest, let's get off our feet type thing. Basketball is such a, you come out, you play really good against Memphis. I bet those dudes are going to be wishing that they had a game Wednesday or Thursday.
Maybe we'll go scrimmage them. We'll give them a scrimmage game.
I would be of no use in that situation.
Darren says it feels like Wes needs this Memphis game for a proof of concept type win. Do you agree?
Not necessarily proof of concept. I mean, I understand what he's saying. Like, I think the proof of concept is there. I think they need the win to build on, not doing the 2 steps forward, 1 step back thing that almost happened at SMU.
Yeah.
If you're improving, like we talked about, whether it's defensively, whether it's rebounding, whether it's offensive flow, go do it against a team that has athletes that maybe they're, I have no idea. Are they overachieving, underachieving, strictly achieving comparatively to preseason expectations? I don't know. But Memphis has guys, they have athletes. I mean, the one dude's 32.
Williams.
Yeah.
I think he played with Penny.
So
same recruiting class.
Go do what you just did at South Florida at home in a big game that everybody's excited for, that you need to win. You're putting yourself in a position to be the second best team in the league. The second best team in the league wins this game at home.
Yeah. Because that's how you end up second in the league.
Exactly.
You beat the teams that are also competing for second in the league, especially on your home floor.
I mean, until the bottom fell out last year, that's what the whole season was. It was beating all the shitty teams at home and losing to everybody else.
Yeah.
So, if we talked preseason, Houston, then who? Maybe Memphis, maybe UC, maybe Tulane, maybe UCF. Okay, put your foot down and go be that. Not maybe UC, definitely UC.
Right.
Yes, Houston's awesome. They're the number 1 whatever team in the country, but we're right there. Not necessarily right there with them, but we're the next best team. Go beat them. If you don't do that at home, I don't know. I can still say nice things, but I would be disappointed, because it would tell me you're not quite ready to capitalize and build off of the momentum that we think you've kind of taken that next step towards since the Temple game. Because the Houston game notwithstanding, they've been good.
Yeah. SMU, they weren't good, but they were good enough.
Good enough.
And that's,
I mean, we see plenty of teams go on the road and lose regardless of
right.
the competition in league play. Like, I don't take, outside of the old days, like the Conference USA Huggins days, you don't really just take road games for granted. Like, yes, there were some times with Mick that we knew what was going to happen, but even so, there were times with Mick when they would go to ECU at noon on a Sunday, and I'm getting off a plane from Las Vegas, checking my phone, hungover as hell, seeing that they lost. So,
Darren, I don't like. We're not saying you're making a bad point. You think Wes is a fantastic coach. We have him. Just getting a semi-big win at home would go. That's all. I don't disagree with that.
it would. I just don't think it proves anything one way or the other. I mean, I think we know what Wes's, ideas and style and all of that is. I'm ready to now, like, we're past the proving stage of, like, does the way that he wants to run the program work or not? We're to the stage of, like, go get a win that you need to get if you think you're the second best team in the league.
Right. I don't have a whole lot else on basketball. The only other thing I would ask is, what does it say to you, like, from what we've seen this year, it seems like they've been able to answer each issue as it came up, right? The beginning of the year, it was without Newman, the defense was poor. Guys were getting too many easy shots. There were too many straight lines to the basket. They didn't have any rim protection. Now I think they lead the league in block shots. I think I saw that.
Do they really?
I think they do. They're first or second in the league in block shots.
Well, I mean, getting 8 in one game by one guy will certainly help.
Yeah, but I mean, you've got enough games in this season that, like, they're blocking a good number of shots. Now, it's not – they don't have the type of rim protection that maybe we're used to, where there's just a stalwart back there that if you bring it in, you're going to get it rejected. Right. But they're finding ways to block shots. They're finding ways. They've gotten significantly better on defense. They were terrible on the glass for a stretch. They've gotten significantly better on the glass to where, the bad games now are games where it's about even on the glass. And most of the time they're going out and winning by 6, 8, 10 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
You're looking at, a guy like Landers, who was kind of strictly spot up shooting, or you got a little bit else out of him, but that's what he was. Now you're getting rebounding, you're getting offensive production, you're getting shooting, you're getting, getting him into the mid-range a little bit more. Like, I think Wes has done a great job so far this year answering the bell on, okay, that's not working, we have to fix it. And when's the last time you really felt that? Like, even I thought with mixed teams, like, you knew what they were good at and what they were bad at. And that kind of played out throughout the season, right? Like,
yeah,
there was very rarely it was like this many different things where it's like, well, they better shore that up. And 2 weeks later, you look back and you're like, damn, they played 4 games and they've been really good in that area. 3 out of the 4, 4 out of the 4. I think it says a lot to his system starting to take hold, that now they're starting to have these answers where, you're not wondering anymore, will that haunt them all season? And I think when you have faith in your coach that he can accomplish that, like, that's a powerful tool as you move forward.
Right. I mean, I think too, with this group, you have a lot of new parts, so different elements will take different amounts of time, and that's the other thing too.
Sure.
With mixed teams, they were always so veteran that you knew kind of going into the season what those guys did well or didn't do well. Where a team like this, different things can crop up at different points that need attention. But I mean, clearly, a couple of the things that had frustrated me earlier in the year are becoming less and less, and almost not, prevalent at all. So, they're clearly taking coaching. They're clearly, on a skill level that allows them to actually improve. I mean, there's some guys you can say they need to be better at this, but the reality is that they're probably like, this is kind of who they are.
Yeah.
So, we'll see as the younger guys get more minutes, as you're basically what, 2/3 of the way through the season.
I think they're up pretty much exactly 2/3 of the way, or right
11,
at
11
2/3.
games
Yeah.
left, and they're 20 games in.
Yeah.
So you can still, I mean, you have a third of the regular season left. You can still make incremental improvements, and I just think it's winning the games at home. Like, there's not a team they play the rest of the year that they can't beat at home. I won't say that they can't lose a game, but like, they don't have any home games left against teams that I don't think they can beat.
Yeah, really the only team I don't think they can beat in this conference is Houston.
Right. So win all your home games, split or go one over a split on your road games, and then take it into the conference tournament. I mean, we should, just the momentum is the most important thing to me. It's building off of, you're going to have games in a stretch where things don't, and it's what Wes even talked about, is like, he said he liked the wins when they don't shoot great, but they figure out a way to get the win. And I think that's important, because you have a team that is relying on some younger guys, but is also relying on new players, and you just never know what's going to happen night in and night out. They're not an elite team. They don't really have anybody that you can necessarily, maybe Landers, but even maybe Dave. But I mean, obviously he just went through a huge drought too. So nobody's really like lacing him up and you're going, yep, that guy's giving me for sure this tonight.
Right.
So,
let's see. Football. What do you got on football? Got anything you wanna chat about? I know we haven't talked about the two most recent additions, one at wide receiver, one at corner. You haven't spoken on those, so I'll let you give your thoughts on Mr. Young and Mr. Ali.
Well, Mr. Young from Florida, highly touted recruit coming out of college, or coming out of high school, has not really contributed yet. But I mean, he's got all the, the tangibles that you like to see from the corner position. 6 foot, can run. Did play a good bit in their bowl game. Had a block kick. I want to say 3 or 4 tackles. So, and we need outside corners. I assume that's where he's going to be slotted. I mean, can't say starter or not, but outside corner position. And then, what was the gentleman's first name? Is it Donovan?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Receiver from, from Washington State. We're going big at receiver, that's for sure. Another 6'3" plus guy. That makes 3 of them in the portal, with D. Wiggins and Sterling Burkhalter. Put up some good numbers last year in a pass offense. So,
is that you that's freezing, or is that me?
Stupid thing. Sorry.
That's all right. What'd you do, Pickle? Uh-oh. We might be in trouble. Are you back? There we go. Are you there?
Am I there?
Yeah, I got you. You're all right. Oh, no, you're not. You're choppy.
Well, this is weird, but
Word.
You got me.
You're choppy, brother.
It's now everybody's. Hello, are we there?
Yes.
We are here. The question is whether or not you
Hello
are here.
out there.
Can
You
you
can't
hear
hear
us?
us.
Yes. Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my VPN like resets around this time, like every night apparently.
Oh.
But I'm only on the computer around this time when we're doing this. So, but no, I was saying that air raid offense will definitely be learning a much different offense, much different route tree. So we'll see how that goes. But they're not done in the portal. They may be done like adding guys right this moment. We'll see. I mean, there was another receiver that was crystal balled to them from UTEP, who had a very big season for the Miners. Crystal balled by the guy who kind of manages all the portal stuff for 247. So I thought that was interesting. It wasn't like a specific person tied to a team. So we'll see if that comes.
I know UC's heavily involved. We'll see how it plays out.
We'll see if that comes to fruition. The timing of class and all that, they might be done adding guys now, but
they've still got 8 to 10 plus spots.
Some of these guys too, like you got to think about it. Yes, we talked about getting in for the semester, but some guys might not be in a position to do that academically, and maybe they need to graduate, so they're gonna go into the portal, or they weren't even gonna make a decision at this point anyway,
right?
Because they're not enrolling. Maybe they're graduating. They might be graduating early, but they're trying to graduate and get all that taken care of, and then. But yeah, I mean they've still got, like you said, I'm sure 5 to 10 ish.
Yeah,
I think that we'll see when it comes to visits, but I do think that there are a few high school kids that they're tracking. But again, few.
Small number.
I would say like less than 5.
Right.
They have a big junior day. I think I counted 38 guys on Mick's list that he posted earlier. So if you haven't seen that yet, check that out. And I'm sure that's not 100%. Guys will not show up. There might be some guys that do show up that aren't on there. You know how that goes. Guys get peer pressured from their friends, or they just show up and with their friends and.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah, the first stages in
For me, this is always kind of the start of the next cycle. Is you get through that first signing day. Once you hit your first junior day, you at least kind of have an idea of who the local names are, the regional names are, because that's usually who are at these junior days. Cincinnati, Dayton, a little bit of Columbus, but
I saw a couple Michigan guys, maybe some Indiana guys. And again, a bunch of these dudes play basketball, so they might have a game Saturday night and they don't want to travel Sunday morning, for a visit. Like, a lot of times we've seen 2 of these. This one, I mean, I don't know if we will with this staff, but
sometimes that just depends on like how the basketball schedule sets up.
Right. If there's not another good time to do it, then you won't. But I mean, I guess you're not going to have one February 4th right after you had one January 2nd, maybe February 11th, maybe Senior Day, March 5th is Sunday. So, I mean, I guess you could maybe see another one, but we'll see. Jason asked about some local receivers. How many more high school recruits does UC get next month? I mean, a couple maybe. It feels like they're on receivers more than anything, even in the high school game too. Obviously, the kid from Elder, I believe, is a preferred walk-on. The kid from Kings, I believe they offered. He's visiting He's part of the junior day on Sunday. The kid put up absurd numbers. Have you seen his numbers?
Yeah, like
1,700 yards and 29 touchdowns.
For a receiver, it's a big number for a high school receiver.
Yeah, but I mean, I think there's a D end in Florida. I think there's a receiver in South Carolina. Just a couple guys here and there. But I would be pretty surprised if it's, if you set the over under at like 2.5 high school kids signed in February, I would probably take the under.
Right.
But maybe we'll be surprised. Coaches have been out. Obviously, they did the big Cincinnati Blitz. Carey has been doing his wonderful
Long
97
hashtag.
character hashtags that take me 5 minutes to figure out where the word breaks are and everything. But he's been in Michigan and Indy and Georgia. Derek Nicholson was in the Baltimore area today, handing out several offers at the St. Francis Academy, which where newly signed Brian Sims is an alum too. So building off of that relationship that the old staff started. Coach Stepp was in South Carolina today. He has a ton of contacts there from being a high school coach there for a long time. I'm trying to think who else did I see where they were. Bryant Brown was in the greater Atlanta area today. Saw some offers come out of like Marietta. So they've done their Ohio thing. They'll keep doing their Ohio thing. And then they're going to go, like we said a while ago, they're going to go where they know people and where the dudes are.
Right.
Like we can say we want to recruit Cincinnati, and we do, but like you go where you can get guys.
Right.
So
your relationships are what's always the key in recruiting. And if your relationships take you somewhere, they take you somewhere, and you follow those paths and see what you can get. Just trying to think. I don't have a ton. I mean, I've been so far off the grid. I'm kind of leaning on you for anything you want to talk about tonight. And then I'll chime in. But getting some new video from the weight room. The new
I saw
regime
that today.
There's been a couple pictures up from Nico and the new crew in the weight room. Seems like the energy is still high. Would have to assume.
Can talk about. I think the number ended up being 7. That as of today, they obviously can still transfer in the spring, but it looks like 7 super seniors or COVID seniors, whatever you want to call them, to this stage of the game have decided to stick around. That would be Ryan Montgomery, Ben Bryant, Jacob Dingle, Taj Ward, am I saying D'Artagnan? Is that right?
Yeah.
D'Artagnan, Tinsley, Malik,
Briggs,
and Jawan.
Yeah. So that's a good core of, veteran guys returning.
Outside of Tinsley, you have starters or major contributors. So you need those guys.
The Taj Ward one will be interesting, right? Because that has a direct impact on Sammy. If they think Taj is good enough to handle the nickel, and that it'll be interesting to see like what they want out of that spot, because that spot can be handled a lot of different ways. Some staffs like a safety in that spot. Some staffs like a shifty, smaller, fast corner.
Right.
They've talked about they want to have 5 DBs on the field, but what are those DB? It's a lot of variation in what a DB looks like, right? Is it the 5'9" guy that runs a 4.3, or is it the 6'3" guy that's going to come up and take your head off?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're talking about like in the slot. You have your Sammy Anderson, but then you just have what they recruited in Raekwon What's his last name? Lewis? Is it Lewis?
Yeah, I think.
Who's, your 5'9", buck 55 type guy. So, and maybe there's a place for both of those types in this defense, depending on formations and alignments and personnel groupings and stuff like that. But I mean, that's to me going to be like the fun part of even just the spring, is seeing, what kind of different packages they line up in, what guys that we're used to seeing doing one thing in particular, are they experimenting with doing something totally different? Maybe not necessarily offense, defense, but like something like when Brian Brown mentioned Deshaun Pace playing free safety.
Right.
Like, did he just say that because he thinks he's athletic and that came to mind, or are we actually going to see him line up at safety?
Or will it be some hybrid thing where he kind of looks like both?
Right.
If they like to play some 3-4, like Deshaun could be a linebacker that's essentially also a 3-3-5 safety.
Yes.
So a lot of different ways it can go. And that's the fun of a new staff. Like, remember when Freeman came in, no idea what a jack was, no idea what a sniper was, right? Like,
no.
These were all different ways to use things. To use positional versatility. If you play in the Senior Bowl, do you lose the option to come back? Yes. So if you play in the Senior Bowl, you have to be declared for the draft. And in NCAA football, unlike basketball, where you have an option to come back, once you file the paperwork to enter the NFL draft, there's no returning to college football. It's just how the set of rules are different. I don't agree with it. I think you should have the option to gather as much information as possible. But I think the NFL definitely does a better job, would you say, Dave, of providing that information to kids before they make the decision?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah, I mean, now, a lot still happens between the time you get that info and
the draft. Sure.
When you're actually drafted. I mean, I don't think the info Alec Pierce got last year was that he was going to be a second rounder.
It wasn't far off.
Maybe not far off, but now we're seeing Tyler Scott in round 2 mocks. Again, very early, but still, I don't think, he's the type of guy that personnel people and coaches, and when they get into that phase of the offseason, I think are going to like a whole hell of a lot. And it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up going in the second round. But yeah, I mean, you get a ballpark, and they also tell you what you need to work on.
Sure.
It's not just you might get drafted between rounds 3 and an undrafted free agent.
No.
And we don't tell you why that would be the case. So
I'll let you handle this one, Dave. Any idea why those rules are different between basketball and football? Because the NCAA has no standard operating procedure for anything.
Yeah, I mean,
I would guess some of it probably has to do with in basketball. You can declare at any time after your first season.
Right.
Or in football, you have to wait 3 years. You're at that point where whether you're going to the draft or coming back.
Right. And, have you been productive? What is your body type? Do you play a position that is undervalued. Like to me, it never made sense for Ivan Pace to come back to school. Like you're still going to be an undersized linebacker but now with 600 more snaps on your body, or however many more snaps on your body. And are you going to really play better than you played this year?
Yeah, I think the only thing that would change that math was if they were able to come up with a considerable NIL deal.
I'm just looking at it strictly from the football sense of it.
But the money is part of it. Right?
Sure. I mean, there's guys like this is happening and it will happen more that are fringe late round draft picks
that are getting $1 million
that are going to get good money and to stay, that will be more than they would make if they got drafted in, say, the 6th, 7th round.
Yep. Or if, God forbid, they slipped to undrafted free agent and had to work their way up that way.
Yeah. I mean, I was listening to a podcast today where they were talking about it, where it's like, say there's a guy in the SEC that's a fringe draft pick, and the SEC team, like whatever their chart tells them is like, this guy is worth, it's like, we'll give you $15,000 to not go pro. Like, you're important to us. You help us win, but
Right.
You're not, like, your draft stock isn't there.
You're a good college player, but you're not necessarily an NFL prospect.
Who's to keep another college team from going, well, you're only worth $15,000 to them. We'll give you $25,000 not to go pro and transfer to our school.
Right.
So, it's not necessarily just the name guys that are having to decide between the pros and college, or, like that's why I was laughing when there was like scuttlebutt because CJ Stroud waited until the very end that there might be some NIL deal to keep him in college. I'm like, keep him from being the top 5 pick?
I mean, that's a lot of NIL, baby.
Like, what kind of NIL deal? And we'd already heard that Ohio State was struggling in the NIL game.
Well, they're struggling in the recruiting NIL game.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they needed to come up with money for a CJ Stroud, I don't think they would have a problem calling a booster to.
But it wasn't going to be enough to keep him from going pro.
You wouldn't think. No.
Not if you're going to be a top 5 pick.
Hey, your boy at Tennessee just got $8 million, right?
Yeah, because they know what they're doing, unlike their neighbors to the south that wear jorts and Crocs all the time. Their NIL situation is messy, to say the least.
This one's for you. Which round would Ivan go? His draft stock's not that high.
Yeah, I don't. Day 3, maybe day 2. Depends on
Probably
what he runs.
5th, 4th, 5th. Yeah, I mean, he's not going to set the world.
I mean, there's gonna be teams that he's automatically
out
off their board.
Were you surprised to see the mock that had Tyler Scott going in the 2nd round to Atlanta and rejoining Dez?
No, not necessarily.
You don't think that's too high for Tyler Scott?
No, I haven't. Without digging into the draft really at all yet, like I don't know where receivers are and things like that. But it's not. I mean, he's going to run fast. He's got great hands. He runs great routes. Scouts are going to like that part. Coaches are going to like him. So, I mean,
Keeps himself, yeah.
I could see a very similar projection ascension to what Pierce had in the draft process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
But like Ivan's going to not meet, like there are teams that have thresholds that say like a linebacker in our system has to be this tall, has to be this heavy, has to have this long of arms, has to run this 40, has to run this 3-cone drill, has to jump. He's not going to meet those thresholds for some team. So he's automatically going to be off some boards. Then he's going to automatically be off some boards based on the type of defense that they play. So, that's the tricky part of like trying to typecast or figure out where defensive players are going to go. I mean,
and then he's going to be off some boards because he does not play on script.
Yeah, there's a lot of freelancing with him, but I mean, if you're an attacking style defense, you probably like him. But again, I mean, if
Right, but I'm talking like a system defense where everybody has to be in the right, like where everything is schemed. You know what I mean?
yeah, I'm not.
He's not going to fit
I don't
that.
know if that's fair to him. That like they probably just let him do that, not necessarily because he can't. Not like I'm sure he can follow script if he needed to, but he might not be as good if he has to do that. So, but
Sorry,
I mean,
I had a
again,
12-year-old asking me to buy her a pair of shoes.
totally going to depend on him with what his speed and agility testing is, because I mean, it's not going to surprise. He's going to come in. His official measurement's going to come in under 6 foot.
Oh, 5'10", maybe.
So, and he's not going to be very heavy.
I mean, he played it. He 230.
Yeah, but you're 5'10", 230. Like, is he going to play fullback?
Maybe. We saw Jeff Luke do that, right?
He's undersized for that, even.
Right.
The Ravens fullback weighs 3 bills.
And they use them a lot.
Yeah.
What else you got? Anything? Give me your. We'll do our Bet Fred segment here. Dave bets. What does the line need to be, or what do you think the line will be on UC Memphis? Which right now, Memphis is up 1 at home on Wichita State with 11 minutes to go.
What is Memphis's record? I don't even know.
Memphis is 13-5, 3-2 in the conference, with losses, triple overtime loss to UCF and a loss to Houston, I think.
This feels
they
like
might have lost to somebody else.
This feels like a pick'em game, doesn't it? Like I can't see Memphis being a road favorite.
Aaron, what's the Ken Palm number on that? If you can look it up real quick. The Ken Palm projection.
The Crosstown boys finally bit me last night.
Yeah. How about our boy Stubbs?
I know. I've been riding them for a couple weeks.
Well, that's what you get.
And they've been cashing.
Yeah, that's what you get.
For all you partakers out there, UVA has been the hot cover team lately, by the way.
How many in a row?
Of their games?
Yeah.
3, 4, maybe.
What's the line need to be here?
I mean, for my need to be for what?
For you to take the Bearcats.
Well, I don't bet on the Bearcats. I only bet against the Bearcats when I bet their games.
Why is that?
Because there are inefficiencies in their spreads in some of their games that are very, very obvious that need to be exploited. And it's usually never when they're favorite.
Okay. Fair enough. Aaron's struggling with this how to operate Ken Palm.
You have to pay $22 to operate Ken Palm.
Well, you know.
Well, we're 69th in Ken Palm, is that right? What is Memphis?
They are.
This is great radio.
Yes, it is. I mean, I'm already
wasn't prepared for any of this. Memphis is 37.
Wow, that seems high.
And they had a really good start to the season. They're just not playing as well now.
They're 16th in adjusted tempo. To me, this tells me that this is like a bet the over game.
Potentially. Or it's a sneaky bet the under game because UC is going to defend them better than people have defended them.
UC's 108th in adjusted tempo. Memphis is good defensively. We're 57th in their 32nd.
That's one thing Penny's teams have done is defend.
So you play good defense, but you play with tempo. That usually doesn't. Those two things don't usually coincide with each other.
They're not usually good friends, but a lot of that also is because Memphis plays fast by taking a lot of bad shots.
Yeah.
Right? Like they don't play fast because they're getting dunks and layups. It's
That's
because
like
they're taking
Virginia's 23rd in defense and 361st in adjusted tempo.
right. Right. All right. Well,
I think it'll be a wonder. I mean, I don't know. Do I sound ridiculous to say UC could be like a 1.5 point favorite?
Not necessarily, because I think if you look at the trends, UC's playing better than Memphis is right now. Like Memphis has had the better season, but in terms of how they've both looked like in conference play, I think UC looks a little better. I think they're at home. Like obviously at home, you get 3. So I wouldn't be shocked if it's 1.5, plus or minus 1.5 for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
How much is the crowd, do you think, going to be affected by the Bengals?
I mean, it will
It's a
be.
1 o'clock tip.
It will be, but I mean, I don't think it's not like it's going to be half full because of it. But I mean, like, if, I'm nothing if not honest. Like, there's no shot in hell I'd be going to the game.
You could get back home by middle of the first quarter.
Yeah.
But you're not doing that.
No, I mean, I don't know how much of the game I'm going to see regardless. I mean, I'm working this event out in Arizona, so
yeah.
It's only 2-hour difference.
2-hour difference, so 11 a.m. there.
Well, the basketball game, I won't see any of. That's like when the event is going on. Starts at 11. So
you probably have to just catch it on ESPN Plus Sunday night after the Bengals game.
Mm-hmm, definitely. I fly out Monday morning at like 12:45 in the morning.
Oh, you can just watch it on the flight home.
Yeah. So
I'm sure nobody will get pissed at your glowing screen in a dark red-eye flight. I do a podcast. I'm sorry.
Well, hey, if the Bengals win, they probably won't like me because I'll be drinking
heavily. Still heavily. What do you think about? We got a couple minutes left here before big night on Rock of Truth tonight for all you guys that are hanging around. Rock of Truth with Cincinnati associate head coach Chad Dollar coming up on the show.
There we go.
Right after this, so in about 15 minutes. So before we get out of here, I'll get your thoughts on Bengals Bills.
They're gonna win.
Think so?
Yeah.
The line has been going up, right?
I know, and I don't bet on the Bengals either. I'm stitious in that regard, but like.
But you want to.
You want to just keep giving like 5.5? Okay. Like, all right. We'll see, but
you're not a Bills believer, huh?
I think the Bills are really good. Josh Allen will give you the football. Now, will you take it, and what will you do with it? Are up to you, and is a huge part of it. But like, he's had 2 or more interceptions in 6 games this year. He's had a turnover, at least 1 turnover in 60% of their games. He's not good throwing the ball, especially in the red zone. Like, Stephon Diggs is their main receiver, and I don't love the rest of their receivers. Obviously, you're going on the road. Not going to be easy. They went on the road all last year. It wasn't easy, but this team, this quarterback, I have maybe, I can't even say it's like blind faith. They went to the freaking Super Bowl last year. Like, I don't know why anybody would think that they're not going to win. I think as the week goes on, there's This has nothing to do with the game, but I do find it just so damn funny that when the NFL came up with this goofy ass playoff system, nobody said shit about the divisional rounds. And now it's just media member after media member being like, yeah, the Bengals kind of got screwed here. And we're all like, yeah, no kidding, assholes. We've been saying it for 3 weeks. It's like, yeah, you guys just figured that out. But they don't care. Burrow doesn't care. Like, I'm just not like, I don't know. You gonna bet against Joe Burrow?
I don't bet. So
well, but I mean, just in like in a hypothetical way of saying it, like I'm
terrible at gambling. So should I place my first legal bet on the Bills?
No, you should put it on Jags plus however high the number gets.
Because you think they're going to beat the Chiefs?
No, the Chiefs don't blow anybody out anymore, especially when the number's big.
Yeah. You don't think they might have a little magic, a little Trevor Lawrence magic?
Oh, I mean,
Bengals Jags at Paul Brown Stadium for the AFC Championship.
If that's the case, then definitely bet on the Jags. I mean, you're missing, even if you don't want to bet, you're missing out on by not just signing up for whether it's Betfred or any of these other places. If you're not just signing up and taking the automatic win bets and then withdrawing that money, then you're just losing on purpose. Like, just sign up because you'll get some goofy ass bet like 1+ passing yard in Bengals Bills. You know, max bet $50 plus 100. So it's just an automatic $50 win.
That's how they get you.
Well, that's how they think they get you. They give you all these fun things, and then they tie real bets to them.
And then you're a legitimate person with a gambling problem.
Where you have to bet. You have to bet the money. You have to bet the free money within the first month.
Right.
Or it goes away after a month, but it's free money. So even if you lose those bets, you didn't it's not like you're out $100 or whatever.
Right.
But no, I mean, they got so many fun things to like. I play almost something nightly because it's either an odds boost, a profit boost, for little stuff just to have some action. But yeah, bet whoever Louisville's playing.
There you go. There's the link. Copy that. Put it in your browser.
No, it's only good if you haven't signed up yet.
Right, if you haven't. To get your
your free
bonuses.
Stuff. But yeah, I mean, Jacksonville and the points. 4 out of the 5 overs hit in the wild card round, and the one that didn't hit was off by half a point because Dallas's kicker stinks. They call way less penalties in the playoffs. You know, if you like to dabble, take the overs in some of these games. Giants plus the number. I don't love the teams coming off the bye.
It's not, I mean, they still usually end up winning, but it's always kind of messy at first, right? Like,
well, the Titans didn't last year.
Yeah, but the Bengals are better than the Titans.
Right, the Titans were, I wouldn't say a fraudulent number 1 seed, but
they were just like the AFC South, like they took advantage of a bad division.
I don't know. I mean, yes, you get quote unquote like a week of rest, and yes, all your guys should theoretically be as healthy as you can be in the middle of January. But you know, I do wonder sometimes is if it was if you don't like having that week off, if it just messes with momentum. Like the Jaguars, they're going to come into KC after being down 27-7, winning that game,
High as a kite.
And nothing to lose, hair on fire, and the Chiefs are going to come. I mean, the Chiefs are much, much better than them, but they're going to have to get themselves revved up again, where Jacksonville is just taking this whole last week, and it's just throwing wood into the fire of hey, look, nobody thought we could do it.
Right.
We're going to do it again type of thing. And, the Chiefs are bad against big numbers as well. So they seem to get up big and then let teams back into games and make it a lot closer than it should be.
Yep. All right. I think that's going to wrap it up. Let's put a fork in it. Let's get it over to our boys at the Rock of Truth. They will be on this channel starting at 9 o'clock with UC Associate Head Coach Chad Dollar. Thanks to the best producer in the state. How about that, Aaron? I like that. It's a workaround.
I don't proclaim any of that, for the record.
You don't have to proclaim any of that.
Fair enough.
It's my network. I can proclaim whatever the hell I want.
For the boss. The
best producer in the state, the best producer in the American Athletic Conference, Aaron Smith. It's because nobody else in American has shows.
The fattest, the skinniest kid at Fat Camp.
Yes, Aaron is the skinniest kid at Fat Camp. All right. Thanks to Dave Simone. Thanks to our friends at the Holy Grail. Make sure you get down and support them. This weekend, big Sunday, down at the Banks.
Thanks, Baker.
We'll see you next time. It is the BCJ podcast right here on BearcatJournal.com.